Most people are waiting for something around them to change their situation, their family, society. But here's the truth: your life doesn't change when the world changes, it changes when you do. Did you know that waiting on the world to change is the fastest way for everything to remain the same in your life? Welcome to Undivided. I'm your host, Adam Maxwell, and I'm here to talk to you about rebuilding your life through faith, discipline, and adventure. Today, we're going to talk about people that think that they can change everything around them and how that just doesn't work, doesn't add up. Nobody can make that happen, right? Um, I know you look in the mirror and you see an educated, smart, well versed in your religion kind of guy. Politics has no chance against you. Your neighbor has no chance against your politics. And you're surrounded by like minded people every single day, whether that's online, whether that's in your neighborhood, whether that's in your town. And you think you can just change it all. Little do you know, trying to change it all gets you absolutely nowhere. And to have the mentality that they better think the way that I do or else is one of the most toxic ways you can live your life. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of looking around and seeing all these people that hate each other for very little to no real reason, just because you see things a little bit differently. You can't see eye to eye with them anymore. That's the purpose of this brand right here, Undivided. Pretty excited about it. As you can see, got some new gear. And I'm not going to try to push it right now because we will talk about that later. But I didn't start this for no dang reason. I started it because I wanted to see a difference. I wanted to see people to come back together again because, well, as you may have noticed, we're a little bit divided. But the fact is that out there when you're looking, especially on social media, there's just some really loud people on either side trying to get attention, trying to make money, trying to push an agenda, whatever it may be. And most of us sit in the middle going, what is wrong with these people? And it's just getting louder and louder every single day, especially nowadays at this moment. What are we, May 21st? Elections are coming up again. I just don't even want to talk about it. I know my views, you know yours. Go vote. Enjoy yourself. Um, but to think people need to think just like you is going to get you in a place where you're surrounded by everybody that's the same as you. And to me, that sounds really boring. I enjoy diversity, truly. I enjoy working with all different kinds of people. I enjoy people's difference in opinion, having a good conversation, and learning how to be able to have a constructive conversation and not hate the other person because you see it different. Um, and as soon as you think you can make them think like you need to slow down and take a breath and think again. Um, because if you try to make everybody think the same way that you do, all you're going to do is hurt everybody around you that you love and yourself. Because if they're all hurt, you're probably hurting too. Who doesn't want their family in their lives? I mean, some of us, right? Some of us have some old battle wounds from growing up in our childhood that we're really having a hard time forgiving and forgetting. And I get that. But I'm talking about the people that you want in your life. Is it worth ruining those relationships over minor differences, over who they voted for, over where they're from, over any of those things? And until somebody treats me like crap, I'm going to treat them with respect. But are you going to be able to change them is the real question. And the answer to that is no. The world's complex and it's vast, as we know. Have you ever traveled? Have you ever gone to a different country? Have you ever gone to a different state? Have you left your town? Have you left your parents' basement? I mean, that's the real question. What do you really know? What's really out there for you? Have you tried to change what you're doing to get out there and make a difference in the world? Make a new impact for people that you love? Make an impact for the people that you don't love? Because that's what I'm here for. I don't know you, not everybody, but that's all right. I hope to get to know you. I hope to know that you're a decent human being. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here listening. It just makes me sick when people think they can change everything around them. It's easy. You can change your household, you can change your kids' minds, you might be able to change your spouse's mind. And then you might turn your sights on your neighborhood and your neighbors and your town and your city and then your state. And to me, that sounds awful. If you're going to run around trying to change everybody else because of how you feel inside, it seems like you might be doing things a little bit backwards. If there's stuff out there that you don't like, don't partake. If there's people that have a difference in opinion and you just can't get past it, don't hang out with them. But you don't have to go out and try to change them and say, you're wrong, I'm right. You're wrong, I'm right. It's just going to cause nothing but heartache. It's going to cause indifference. It's going to divide us all. You don't have to hate them just because they see it differently than you. And trying to change everything around you is a pretty dangerous task because eventually it'll catch up to you and it'll ruin everything that is around you. People that had respect for you before might not call you anymore. They might not hang out with you anymore because you're trying to make them see it your way. And I'm not just talking politically. I know that that's an easy place to go, but it's through everything, whether it's parenting, whether it's how you're dealing with your emotions, whether it's how you cook your food, whether it's how you, I don't know, milk your cow. If you have a difference in opinion, you should be able to have a conversation about it rather than telling them my way or the highway. Because eventually you'll end up one lonely person sitting there wishing upon a star that something will come true when in reality, you need to look inward and you need to work on changing you. Because if you try to blame your environment every single day, if you try to, you know, if you blame your environment, right? Like, I hate this apartment because it's stinky and it's gross and it's in a bad neighborhood, or, and if I just had a better apartment, my life would be better. Would it be better, or would you just drag that filth right along with you, right? You're trying to change what's around you to make your life better, or your job sucks. Yeah, we have those. Jobs do suck sometimes, and I don't really love every job that I've ever had. But anytime that I was ever stuck in a job that I didn't want, um, or the people around me in that job were atrocious. I remember having a job one time in a kitchen. I just got the job. I left one that I had had for a while. I just wanted to go try something new. I got my job there. I walk in, I look around, the place is filthy. Um, and the first thing that they try to get me to do is clean their disgusting cooler, right? Like trash all over, rotting corpses, basically. I mean, chicken guts and blood and stink. And, they didn't want to do it because they made the mess. And then they hire me thinking that I'm just going to lay down and take it and clean their cooler. Very few times in my life have I ever just walked out or quit a job, but that one I did. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to pick up after everybody else. I mean, I'm down to work hard, but this was different. If you were there, you'd know. I'd like to be able to really draw it out for you. Maybe I can, but that'll be for another time, right? And let's zoom out, right? Like, oh, the town that I live in sucks. These people don't see it the way that I do, or I wish there was more opportunity here. There's no jobs. Back to the jobs sucking, or not being able to get a job. Um, Sometimes you have to do something about that. If you're not happy where you are, maybe you need to figure out what you need, right? Rather than trying to make everybody else need the same thing as you. Because if you're not happy, you don't like where you're at, you don't love the town, there's a million other towns out there. I tell you what, there sure are. I'm not telling you to go move around. I'm not telling you to leave the town. Maybe you have, maybe you've got some good roots there and you don't want to leave that behind you, which I completely get. Um, and maybe you just don't want to move or don't have the heart to move at that time. But blaming the town for your shortcomings? Your family. Does your family kind of suck? Sometimes that's the case too. And you can either follow the lead and continue to be that way, or back to it. Instead of trying to change all of them and make them see it differently, maybe it's time for you to look inward and lead. Show your family what it's like to be a better version of you, and maybe they'll follow. You can't make them do it. You can try, but good luck with that. I'll sit here and hold my breath and be dead by the time you come back, I can assure you. Or my car sucks. Oh, if I had a better car, I'd be able to get around easier and get that better job or live in that better town or get away from this family that I can't stand or friends that I can't stand. And hopefully they're not, hopefully you're not in a position where you can't stand your friends, because then they're not friends, I would say. So how did you get here? How did you get to the point you are today? Was it because you changed things about you that got you into a better position and a better place in life? Or did you do nothing and expect everything around you to change and to conform to your ways? Whether it's your significant other, your spouse, your wife, or your husband, you just want them to do everything for you or conform to your how you want things to be at all times, rather than working together and seeing that, sometimes I'm going to have to sacrifice for you and you're going to have to sacrifice for me. um Trying to make your kids change by screaming and yelling at them, and having no control over your emotions, and or being violent or psychotic around them to try to get them to change. I'm going to assure you that they're going to change if you change your behavior. If you chill it out, you find your center, you find the person that can love the world for what it is and change you to work in this world, everybody around you is going to notice it, and everybody around you is going to try to emulate that existence. But it's not just, you know, looking at it like, oh, everything around me, my environment, everything sucks around me, or I don't like it. I don't like where I am. It's also the other side of it is like waiting for the perfect conditions to fall in place before you do make a change. Well, if my life wasn't so stressful, I'd quit smoking cigarettes. Well, if I didn't hate my job, then I would quit drinking as much. Well, if I had a better job, I'd have more money and then I could do the thing that I want to do. I could start that business. I could start that entrepreneurship. I could take that internship. There's no such thing as perfection. Well, there's one, but there's no such thing as perfection on this earth. You cannot wait for perfect conditions. I mean, if you're in a jail cell, drug addled, um, covered in your own urine, probably not a good time to start a business, right? So the environment wouldn't be great for that. But that's a thing that you could have prevented by making changes in your life, not to end up in the jail cell in that position. You have to do what's right for you and get after it. I mean, the perfect time, if you wait for the perfect timing, I mean, you might be 18 right now, and then you're 21, and then you're 35, and then you're 40, 45, 50, and all these things you've always wanted to do have slipped through your fingers because you waited for the perfect time to do them. Timing is everything, but you won't know if that timing was perfect unless you try. You try to go for the thing, you try to make the change yourself, you try to work on your own psychological well-being, if you will. you know I should this you know I was waiting for perfect moments. I'm guilty as charged. I need this new piece of equipment, I need this new camera, I need this new light, I need this new microphone, I need this new computer, the set that's behind me. I probably just could have started it on a telephone, but I was scared. um I was scared of something new, change. I've been known to change. I've worked in the food and beverage industry, from dishwasher to chef. I've worked in construction, from laborer to business owner, general contractor. Now I'm trying something new again. I've always been able to shift, but I still I still find concern in that big move, that big change, as well. So I get it. Sometimes it debilitates you, but you have to figure out what is going to make my life better. Sitting here doing nothing, waiting for everybody around me to do everything for me or change the world for me, or getting up, peeling my butt off of that couch and going out and getting it. Stop scrolling, stop dooming it up. It's easy to do. I had to get after myself on my walk this morning, um, my meditation walk, if you will, to figure out some things. I was sitting there scrolling this morning and I'm just like, good grief. Threw the phone down, shut it off, went for a walk. And I had to have a conversation with myself about scrolling. Like, stop, dude. It's so easy, especially being in this realm, right? Like, I'm on here now and I'm not a huge fan of it. But again, like I've said before, this is where we meet now. But I didn't have any followers day one, and I don't have a ton of them yet, but get out there and hit me up, on Instagram, right? And show me that you care. Show me that you're here to support it. Show me that you're here to stand with me undivided and try to make a difference out there, because it feels good, right? You work at something and you start seeing some of the accomplishment come through. Um, it starts to make you really motivated to go after it. Sometimes I got to kick myself in the butt and know that I'm not going to start with 1 million followers. I'm not going to cheat the system. I'm not going to try to game the system. I want this to be real. I want it to be grassroots and I want it to happen naturally. Because if it happens naturally, it means that I did something right. Um, and also like my back surgery, right? I just had back surgery not long ago and I was afraid that um, it was going to set me back. No pun intended, but I thought it was going to set me back because I can't technically really do much for 12 weeks. And instead of sitting and drinking or smoking weed and being like, well, I got 12 weeks where I can't really do anything, I did this. Um, got a clothing line now. Check it out, Undivided, shopundivided.com. Get out there, get it. You can go to my website, iamundivided.com. I wasn't going to do this yet. And you can click on Shop Undivided and you can get some apparel. I didn't just sit and let myself rot. I chose to make a change and head in a new direction, because otherwise, what's going to happen? If I took 12 weeks and did nothing, by the time I hit the other end of that 12 weeks, because technically I got to still go back to work as a carpenter for a little while, um, because we plan to move out to Montana, my wife and I and my family, because I am a person of adventure. And I know it says it in the title, and I haven't given you much of that, but I haven't been able to do too much. I'm going to share some videos in the near future of some of my past excursions, but I want people to get out there and have fun and enjoy life and see what's out there. Doesn't mean you have to move to Montana. This is a choice that we've made as a family, collectively, to get out there and try something new, because we've done a lot of different things and I want to show my kids what's out there and how big and vast this world really is. And who knows, we might get out there and be like, whoops, what did we do this for? Um, but with all that, trying to wait for the perfect conditions, um, it also comes into play like getting angry about the things around you that you can't change, right? I can change the things that I'm in control of, but there's entities and things out there that I can't touch. And it feels like you can sometimes. It feels like you can go out there and change your neighbor, right? I want my neighbor to change the way that they see things, or you know what, I'm going to turn him in for doing a thing wrong because I want him to be different and I want him to change the way he's doing things at his house. I mean, we can't change people. They can only change themselves. You can try. And especially if if you're this far apart from each other, it's hard to really come and meet in the middle. But The other things are like letting, letting the government's handling of all the things that are happening out there on a daily basis, like trying to make a change. You can go vote and you can go to your city hall meetings and you can voice your opinion, but being pissed about it and letting that affect your life so greatly that you can't even think about anything else but that. I mean, you want to talk about life crushing defeat, because the government's huge, and in my opinion, I would like it to be a little smaller, but that, again, I don't want to go down that road too much with you. I want to talk about the things that really matter, and that's you, not them, not that thing. But are you going to let the way things are being run around you, the stuff you can't control at the moment, are you going to let that deviate your life and make you so angry, and take over your emotions that you can't even function in life properly? It's just going to get worse. I could have done the same thing with my back surgery. I could have been so angry at the world because, oh my God, my back's hurt and I've got to go into the surgery. I could have been so angry about it. Instead, I accepted it. I saw an opportunity that I'm going to have 12 weeks. I could rewrite my life. I could rewrite my history. I've been so busy for the last, I don't even know, 25 to 30 years of my life, um, worrying about how I'm going to make the next meal or make my life better through secular ideas. I finally had a moment to kind of go after some stuff that I've wanted to do, um, instead of being angry about it. I could have been pissed. I could have said, "Oh, I got the short end of the stick here," and then get mad and like I said, consume substances and do nothing around the house and make my family dislike me for it. Right? If you have a crap attitude, what do you think's coming your way? Or hypothetically having a relative, whether uncle, aunt, whatever, somebody that you've known your whole life that you always loved, and always appreciated or liked them, but they have now a different view on the world than you, uh, to now hate them for it. What for? You only get one chance to spend your life with these individuals that are out there. And again, I'm not talking about the people that have harmed you in such a manner that you can't get over it. I'm talking about the people that do matter. And getting angry at them and not being able to control your emotions enough to have a civil conversation with that person. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, who listen to this guy trying to tell me how to be. I'm not trying to tell you how to do anything. I'm just giving you some perspective. Maybe you need to listen to somebody. It might not be me, but somebody. Maybe yourself. Again, look in the mirror. That's the first place you can start to make change in your life, not trying to change everything around you. Because, I mean, think about it, right? Like if you close your eyes right now and you picture yourself standing there in the middle of town, and then you see all the houses, you zoom out, you see all the houses, there's 5 or 10 people in every house, or two, whatever. And then you zoom out and there's 200 houses, 1,000 houses, 10,000 houses full of people, and there's governments and there's systems and there's laws and there's rules, and then snap right back down. Blam, here you are standing in the middle of all that. The world's going to function with or without you. And if you decide that you want to be the one that fights the fight all the time against everything, you want to be the, not even squeaky wheel. That's a positive thing, right? Being a squeaky wheel. But you want to be the wheel that's seized and grinding down the track and ruining it for everybody else. Be my guest. But you're going to be a lonely fool at some point in your life, and you're going to get old and you're going to regret it. So take some time and work on yourself. That's all I can tell you to do. Like I'll never stop telling you, you need to start journaling. You need to start talking about all your problems with yourself. Get them out of your head, put them on a piece of paper. I don't want to show too much here, but This is I journal almost every single day now, and I miss a day here and there, and then I try to make it up. I'm actually currently doing that right now. I think I'm 2 days behind, which is unfortunate because you lose some detail, right? And this is how you can make your life feel longer and better and more fulfilling, is remembering some of the awesome stuff that you've done and the cool people you hung out with. Um, some old people are like, "Oh boy, life sure flies by." It has a lot to do with how you're handling it, right? Do you go to the same job 5 days a week, 9 to 5, get done with work, come home, drink a beer, or two or three or four or five or six or seven or whatever it may be, your vice, and then pass out, go to bed, wake up, do it all over again every single day? Your brain deletes those days. Do something a little different, right? Brush your teeth after you shower instead of before one day, right? Like, change little aspects of your life one thing at a time as you move forward. Like, if you're really good at Sudoku, you're excellent at it. Well, quit. What's the point of doing something you're phenomenal at? Go find a new thing to get phenomenal at, and then your brain can really excel. I'm getting off topic. I'm dang good at it. I know you guys are you don't really care, but I care. I've got things to cover, and I don't need these episodes to be 2.5 hours long. It'd be easy to do. Um, so back to being that individual and zooming out and seeing how big the world really is and expecting everybody to change for you, right? That idea there, to put it into words, you can't control the world, but you can control how you respond to it. And that's the key. You don't have to hang out with everybody. But if you think automatically that nobody's, on the same page as you and you don't hang out with anybody, it's going to be an empty life, and it's going to crush you. But it's all about how you respond to the world, right? Like, when we're growing up, we're always taught, I think, oh, geez, almost broke my chair, I think. But you think about when you're a kid and everything being fair, fairness, and the world and life is supposed to be fair. And then you turn 18 or an adult and you get slapped right in the grill with, holy crap, it's not fair. Um, where do these ideas come from? And they're proliferated, peripheral. Um, you expect fairness to be a real thing out there, and it is sometimes, right? And that's why there's laws and rules and all the rest of it. But if you expect the world to be fair all the time, and when it's not, it devastates you. Um, it's hard to continue to live life in a productive way. You have to be prepared for it not to be fair, and you need to know how to respond to those situations where it isn't fair, or expecting people to change. You can't expect them to change. You can work with them or on yourself, and show people, like, this is how you change. This is how you get to a better place in life. But to grab somebody and say, you need to change right now, you need to quit smoking cigarettes, you need to quit drinking, you need to stop all this shenanigans. When you get in somebody's face like that and try to make them change, all you're going to get is blowback. They're going to come at you, then you're going to get angry, they're going to get angry. And by the way, anger is a secondary emotion. It's something that comes quickly after a primary emotion, whether sadness or defeat or um, frustration or whatever it may be. There's a lot of words to explain your emotions. We're just not emotionally literate. And I need to work on that too. But expecting people to change around you just because you want them to, here again, is the fastest way to find out that the world isn't fair, and it's no way to respond to it. Or expecting life to be easier than it is. Well, it should be easier. It should be easier to make a living. It should be easier to pay rent. It should be easier to do all these things. I mean, I can't disagree with you, but it isn't, right? Sorry. This is how the world works. You need to figure out how to live in it. And it's hard because oftentimes you find either these people that are like-minded as you on the internet that have the same complaint, and they're like, life should be easier, we should tax the wealthy more. And I mean, let's not go down that road, but you find the people that want to uh, that agree with you, and it's easy to find all those people now. You can make these whole groups, Discord, and I found these like VR chats out there that are unbelievable. It's like taking reality and putting it into a computer, and alternate reality, um, which is crazy as can be to me. But you can find whatever you want to on the internet. You can find a group of people that think abusing children is good. Like, not good. You can find people that think that harming their spouses is good. It's not good. Just because there's somebody that says that it's good doesn't make it good. And there's also people out there that try to make life look easy. They're like, follow my 10-step program to becoming rich. Buy my book today. And then you go buy their book. Well, guess what? It takes work after that. You 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 read this book and it gives you 10 ways to become rich. Well, those 10 ways aren't going to be sit on your couch for 10 days, right? It's going to be get out there, do this, do this, do this, and it takes work. So expecting life to be easier, you're just going to be mad. You're going to go back to, expecting the people to change and expecting the world to be fair. It just kind of rolls downhill, doesn't it? So you need to get out there and get a different job or go to college if that's where you want to be. Um, I'd be careful at college because if you don't know what you want to be, like if you don't know what degree you need for the thing that you want to be, um, you're going to spend a lot of money and you're going to have to pay loans off for the rest of your life. I know. I did it. Um, and I always like coped with it. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I learned some stuff, and yeah, it wasn't a waste of $60,000, and it wasn't entirely a waste. There's the coping again. Because I learned some stuff. I did, and maybe that even was what I learned what I don't want to do. But you don't need to make that mistake and cost you 60, 100, $200,000 to get to the end of a thing and be like, I don't even want to do this anymore. You get yourself into that situation. But sometimes it feels like you're killing it, right? Like you get out into the world, you get into life, and you're like, this is awesome. I'm crushing right now. You get your job, and even if it's like, your first job or a new job, and you think you're going to make all this money, and you get that first check, and you're like, oh my goodness, they took so much money in taxes from me. What am I going to do next? Right? Like, whether it's your first job and they're like, we're going to pay you 15 bucks an hour. And next thing you know, that money ain't hitting your bank like you thought I was going to, because the third of it's gone. Or you get that new job where you're a higher earner and you're making way more money. Now you're in the next tax bracket, and they swamp you right out, and they take a ton of your money there too. Like, that new job or that whatever, like, again, it's not going to be the thing that specifically makes you happier. You need to work on that yourself, because when you get out there and you think life's going to be easy, you think you're killing it, and then taxes come, and then you got to pay your rent, and then you got to pay your car payment, you got to pay for gas, and then there's taxes, and then food, and then there's taxes, and then utilities, and then taxes, and insurance, and then taxes, and parking tickets, and taxes, and then life starts to get real. And it starts to sometimes get tough and depressing, and then you turn to alcohol and weed, and you begin to spiral, and you begin to drift, and you start to not do well. You start to fail at things, and maybe you lose your job, and you work your way back. You start working your way to rock bottom. um and that starts with these unrealistic expectations. You need to know that life isn't always fair, and you cannot make people change. Uh, so if you meet somebody the way they are, chances are that's the way they are. Sometimes they put on a front too. Watch out for that. Um, or you expect life to be easier than it is, or you're angry about the fact that life isn't easier than it is. If you're going to get mad about it, it's not going to change that it's hard. You have to get out there and you got to work harder to get there. So expectations in reality, they don't make good bedfellows, as they say. Um, because you can expect one thing, but reality slaps you right in the face and says, "Nah, you were wrong." Ask people. That's what socialization is truly for, and in real life, right? Because like I said, you can get on the internet and you can find like-minded people that agree completely with you, and it makes you feel all fuzzy inside. And then you go and you talk to somebody else outside of the world of the internet or outside of your friend group, and what they have to tell you is the opposite, and it makes you feel, you know, angry and frustrated and upset. So then you go back to this other thing, this other feeling that feels good and comfortable, but it gets you nowhere in life. Having that conversation with somebody that sees it differently than you is healthy. um, just listen sometimes. You don't always have to win an argument. And if that person's just trying to win an argument, then move on, right? Like, you don't have to listen to them either, but know that socialization and getting out there and meeting people is really just the best way to do it. Um, so expectation without control leads to frustration. Frustration. If you don't have any control of your life, these expectations lead to frustration immediately, and that's where I'm going with it. Is you surround yourself with this echoey chamber of people and things and internet and whatever, and then you get out there and your expectation is here with what all these people are saying, and you get out in the real world, and then you become frustrated and you just want to give up, you know. But you can also blame, you know, like in my case, I did, all right, I did blame my environment for a long time. I blame my environment. I blamed people that I associated with for bad things that happened to me. Um, I had business struggles because of it, but trying to blame my environment because I came from a divorced home, it made me a victim. That victim mentality, made people feel bad for me. Having a step parent that I didn't like at all. He, God rest his soul. But I wasn't his son, and he treated me that way, and I felt terrible all the time because of it. Um, and there was a point in my life where I was exposed to sexual material at a way too young of an age. Um, I think it made me hypersexual, and it made me want to lean into porn and lead into being with as many women as I wanted or could be. Um, and these environments have effects on us, but to sit there and blame them forever is just going to keep you right in that spot. You're going to be floating dead in the water. And I could blame moving all the time. I mean, after my parents' divorce, we moved almost every single year from one house or one apartment to the next, to the next, to the next. Not feeling like I had a solid ground to stand on. I grew up in a trailer park for a while, and you get a stigma on that, the trailer park kid. But if you just hang on to these titles and you let your environment um, dictate who you are, then sure, blame your environment, but you don't have to. You can be like, yeah, I was a trailer park kid, look at me now. um, I've done a lot of really great things since then, and I hope to achieve even more beyond that. And I can look back and be like, yeah, I was a trailer park kid and look where I am today. I'm proud of where I am right now. I'll be honest with you. There was a time where I didn't think I was going to have multiple vehicles and live in a big, beautiful home. I mean, I remember walking through the house that I live in now, um, a year prior to buying it, saying, I'll never live in a house like this. A year later, here we are in this house. And it makes me happy, and or growing up in a college drinking town. After I became an adult, living in a college town, 3 colleges in one place, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Uh, the downtown scene was gnarly. They used to be in the Guinness World Record book for the most bars on one street. I think they still hold the Guinness World Record for the world's largest six pack. But you know, blaming going out and getting drunk and faded all the time, uh, it's easy to blame the town that I was in, for those behaviors, but you don't have to drink just because you're in a drinking town. You don't have to smoke weed just because you're in a state that it's legal. Just because people do it doesn't automatically make it good. Just because it's legal doesn't automatically make it right. Um, so there's that. And to blame the people around me, the individuals that I spent time with, to sit there and point my finger at them for getting me in trouble, I mean, it's ridiculous. Sure, maybe that person in my life shouldn't have done that. Maybe they shouldn't have tied me in with them. Maybe I shouldn't have hung out with them. Maybe I should have found a different group of friends. But sometimes you're put into a box growing up, especially when you're young, and you don't think there's any way out of it. You're seen as that trailer park kid. You're seen as that divorced kid. You're seen as the, family's kind of, emotionally messed up. And it's hard to get out of that box. But when you become an adult, it's made out of cardboard, man. Get out, become something new, change your ways, change your life. I mean, even to the point, yeah, uh, speaking of bad influences, if anybody that went to school with me in my grade will remember this. Oh, sixth grade, Holman, Wisconsin, sixth grade, a kid got transferred to our school. His name was King, and he came from the cities, I think, and he got transferred down to our school because he was out of control, or I don't know if he was fostered or whatever he was. I don't remember a lot of that. But what I do remember is he moved to this rural town and into this rural school, and he started a gang in our sixth grade class. TMJB, True Mixed Junior Bloods, is what he called it. I'm sure it's a real thing, but he came to our school and he started this gang. He took over. He started initiating kids. I mean, like beating them in, burning cigarettes into their arms, all these different things. It was wild, dude. I can't even believe it's a real story that happened, right? And I remember being in the bathroom one day, and all these boys that were part of the gang. I kind of stood on the outside of it. I was like, this isn't right. I don't want to be a part of it. I think maybe I was afraid to get burned with cigarettes on my arms. Call me crazy. Um, but they're writing TMJB on their arms, and I'm sitting there going to the bathroom. I was taking a pee, and I was like, man, what if somebody comes in here? And I thought on the top of my head real quick, and here comes a teacher. What does this mean? And I said, too many jerky boys instead of True Mixed Junior Bloods, and got everybody out of being in deep trouble as they would have been. Maybe I shouldn't have. That went on for a little while until that kid got in enough trouble that they sent us down the road. But that didn't change like what that did to that whole group. I mean, we we were decent little kids. I mean, don't get me wrong, we were little craps too, but like it changed that whole grade. It changed every single one of us because of one bad apple. And you don't want to be that bad apple. And that's where I was going with that is, you know, you can't blame your influences. Sometimes you can. I mean, there's a gray area. I mean, this kid was just thrust into our life and our school, and he had a huge effect, and it was nuts. But try not to blame your influences, especially if you chose to hang out with these people. That's kind of its own unique story. And bad roommates, you might have a bad roommate that does something illegal that kind of gets you involved, but you didn't leave the situation. You stayed there and you're in it, and too bad, so sad. You got associated with it. But I've had some business struggles because of this. Um, trying to hoping that everybody's just going to show up to your restaurant every single day, everybody and then you get kind of upset because you expect them to be there more often. Um, and really, we took on a restaurant, or I took on a restaurant with a couple of buddies, and we had no money. That was insane. Like it didn't even make sense. And because we didn't have money, we had to work so hard. every single day, day in, day out, doing all the dishes, doing all the cooking, doing all the cleaning, doing all the prepping, doing all the ordering. And we didn't know until we got into it that that was going to be the case. And it got so stressful that drugs and alcohol came into play, and it created an unstable foundation, unstable environment. And then you have unstable emotions, and then your lifestyle lacks control. And that's when you get yourself into a situation where you start blaming other people for your success not being successful, right? Like, or your venture not being successful. Like these hats right here, you should go out and buy one today. But I can't be mad if you don't, right? They're pretty sweet though. I'm right there. I'm pretty happy with it. But yeah, this is the Undivided trademarked logo that I came up with, and it can help show other people that you're undivided as I, trying to bring us together rather than separate us. Um, but with all that said, I mean, nothing is going to change in your life until you start to look inward, until you start to look in the mirror and say, okay, what have I done to change this? And you might have tried some stuff, and began. It's like getting onto that new diet and doing it for a week and then expecting the results to change, or just quicker than they should, back to your expectations of reality. And you do it for a week or two, and you expect to, you might lose a little weight, and you expect to just poof, gone, right? It took 10 years to get here. um it might take 10 years to get out of here. But you got to look inward. You got to start taking the blame that you deserve. What did you do wrong? Why did you do it wrong? Stop blaming your parents. Get over it. You're an adult now. You can't blame your parents forever. Now, if they're controlling psychopaths and they keep, you know, getting their way, sneaking their way into your life and trying to keep control over you, I don't know, man. Move away. Get away from them. But stop blaming your parents for who you are today, because you have the balls in your court and you can change that yourself. Stop blaming old friends from back in the day that caused harm in your life because you chose to hang out with them. Stop blaming ex-girlfriends or ex-wives for your relationship failing. It takes two to tango, and there's an exception to every single rule, but oftentimes there's a way to either A, avoid being in that relationship for the rest of your life, or B, trying to mend that fence or rebuild that burnt bridge, especially if you have kids together. Stop blaming them. I mean, they screwed up and they cheated on you, or they screwed up and treated you like crap. But if you got kids involved, especially, try to lay that down. A peace offering, and see if you can't come together and make things work. But sometimes the pain's deep for them too, right? And they can't get over it. But you can't control them and you can't make them change. It's how do you respond to them? Because if they get mad and freak out and get frustrated with you, and you remain calm and cool and collected, and just continue that process and try not to take the bait, maybe eventually you guys can get along again. But if you stay in your old ways and your old patterns, and allow the anger to fester, then good luck with that. Stop blaming the taxes you have to pay, because there's two guarantees in life: you will die and you will pay taxes. Welcome. We can try to vote our way towards lesser taxes, but good luck with that. Um, it's one of them things, trying to change something that you can't change. Blaming cost of living. Good luck with that. Just work harder or become more frugal. Stop buying a new car every year. Make your own food at home. Spend time with your family doing cheaper things. You don't have to go to, you know, Cabo San Lucas every other year. You can go somewhere closer. Um, Stop blaming the schools for not educating you properly or lying to you about education in some facets. Oh, you must go to college. When you really should be in the trades. You can get mad all you want to. I was mad at the loans that I had forever. Now I just pay them because that's what I have to do. You got to take the bull by the horns and look in the mirror and really see what's there. It's the only way you're going to be able to change it is if you really see what's there. Um, and if you look at this list of things and they're valid reasons to be mad. It's valid. It's valid to get upset about them. But in those cases, there's no changing it now. It's a part of your life. It's a part of your past, and you can't change it. You can't change it. So it might be valid to be upset about it, or it might be valid to dislike or hate that person, but you can't blame each of these things every single time for where you are and what you are. And yeah, sorry, I'm dying of thirst here. You know, because I was the person that was in charge of who I was spending my time with. Um, I was in charge of the emotions that I let control my life, um, and how I felt about the situations or the people or the things. And there's some terrible stuff that might have happened to you, but and it might have knocked you for a loop or kicked you down the stairs, and you take 10 steps back, it feels like, in life. um, but the question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to stay at the bottom of the stairs, or are you going to come back up? Are you going to rebuild your life and make it great again? Because if you didn't know this, the vast majority of first time millionaires don't become millionaires until they're 49. Okay, vast majority of them don't become millionaires until they're 49. So you got time. And if you're 49, I'm sorry if you're not a millionaire yet, but you're still not done, right? There's still time to make a change, and becoming a millionaire isn't always the goal. Sometimes becoming a millionaire is your lifestyle and what you wanted to do your whole life and how you wanted to live it. I just use millionaire because money speaks, right? We vote because of our wallets. Um, we buy certain types of food because of our money. And to put it into a little bit of a perspective, most of these people don't become millionaires for the first time until they're 49. And anybody who becomes a millionaire before that, like I think that the stat is like 30-year-old millionaires, like 1% of the population of the world become a millionaire for the first time in their 30s or younger. But it's out there, right, where you see all these people flashing lights on social media that they become this millionaire at a young age. That's a super small percentage of people. So keep thugging, keep getting out there and working hard, because you can still get there. Take that chance. Change your attitude, change your emotional intelligence. You can get there. Um, but if everything around you has to change first, then you'll be standing in the same place forever. Like, you're not going anywhere if you expect everything else to change. If you don't take any ownership of your emotions, you don't take any ownership of your bad decisions, if you don't take any ownership of the people you used to hang out with or the environment you came from, take ownership of those things. Be proud of some of the stuff that you've accomplished, getting out of those environments and getting away from those people. Sometimes it feels lonely after you know get rid of some of these humans out of your life. um, you gotta work hard towards it, because if you don't make any growth towards betterment, then you're not going to make any growth in your life whatsoever. um, and having an emotional instability, not being able to control how you react. If somebody says something to you and you feel that fire start, sometimes you just got to tell them, you need to think about this conversation, and walk away from it for a minute and think. Um, and that's a good place to start. Stop, drop, and roll, right? If that fire starts, I know it's a wrong situation, but inside your brain, the fire starts, stop, drop, and roll, and walk away for a second to be able to gain your thoughts, whether it's a conversation with your wife or husband, father, mother, sibling, your neighbor. Be like, hey, yeah, all right, cool. I'll be right back. And then just leave and think. Let your brain think. Because if you start to do that, before you know it, you're not going to have to walk away. You'll be able to extinguish that fire and think through the problem rather than reacting like a psychopath. Um, I used to I used to blow up pretty regularly when even the smallest thing was brought to my attention, or if I felt like somebody was like attacking me. Um, and having the victim mindset, like, oh, woe was me, poor me. Everything should be easier and handed to me. I want to get this stuff for free, and I shouldn't have to work so hard to have a nice life. I mean, good luck. Quit being the victim, right? Quit being the victim in every situation, and try to take some responsibility for your actions. And working on your emotional intelligence, like I was saying before, that's there's ways to get there, right? Like I said, being aware of who you are, being aware of the individual in the mirror, um, knowing what and why you're feeling a certain way. Half the time when you get angry at something or someone, half the time it's not anger in the first place. Um, Anger is just an easy justification for the feeling or the situation. Um, you might just feel like you haven't got nothing left to give, and you just revert to anger because I mentioned it earlier. Anger is a secondary emotion. Um, and if you just, like I said, if you blow up, if a fire starts in a situation where you're having a conversation, or you didn't get the job, or uh, you didn't get approved for the new car, you could let that fire start and explode into a raging inferno, or you can stop, drop, and roll, and walk it back and think about how you're really going to react to this situation. And the other thing is, so number one is awareness of yourself and your emotions, and two is begin to control the emotions, right? Begin to not just react impulsively to the emotions, but like, who's to blame for this situation? Is it me? Was it my fault? Can I even control it? Can I not control it? Because if you can control it, then you do something differently, and then you can totally change the outcome of every situation. But if it's something that you can't control, sitting there being angry about it and wanting to flip out because you can't do anything about it, that's going to just keep you in that same place forever. Um, if you can't control the problem, like, that's what you need to start to identify is, can I control it? Can I not control it? And if I can control it, how do I handle it differently next time, in order to see it differently? Um, so if you can't control it, what do I do about it? Nothing. You work on your emotions. And if I can control it, what do? You find a way um, to change how you're behaving because of that situation. You need to try to control your emotions and control the things that you're doing, whether it's drinking or alcohol or drugs, or, some people strive off of um, fighting, right? Like they love that drama. And if you're around people that just love that drama, they love talking smack about other people, they love gossip. Gossip is a sin, just so you know. There's a reason you shouldn't do it, and that's because it it erodes the foundation of your life, right? And that's what it does to you. Um, and if you can control that wild animal inside, and you can start to make these shifts, the people around you will notice. The people around you will see that, and those people are going to be 100 times more likely to help you with the next problem you may have. They're 100 times more likely, and I'm just making up some stats here, so don't go to the internet and say, is it really 100 times? Um, I'm just saying that you have a lot better chance of these people being there for you and your family propping you up to change and help change the way that you are. Because if you just change one time, if there's a situation where usually you'd flip out and you decide not to, everybody around you is going to just be like flabbergasted that you didn't flip out or that you didn't, decide to go drink the booze until you were blackout drunk. It's gonna be impressive. I can guarantee that today and forever. Um, and three is your response, right? Your response, you want to be able to choose your actions intentionally rather than allowing the wild animal to let loose and grasp at any emotion that it wants to and barf it out of your face. You got to take responsibility for your actions. And I know it's not easy, but you have to take responsibility for your actions. I went out, I got too drunk, I acted a fool, I was too flirtatious, I did something stupid. Like, next time, don't go out. Stay home with your family. Love on them. You know, easier said than done sometimes. But I'm just saying, take responsibility for your actions, the things that you did, and why are the people around you upset with you? Um, and be the change you want to see in the world. Why do you think I'm sitting here? During COVID, I went down like some of the deepest, darkest rabbit holes with conspiracy theories or theories, however you want to look at them now. And I was just mad at the world and I was just going to be pissed at them forever, everybody. Um, and if you just can't stand everything being negative, then be positive. Come spend some time here. Holler at me. Let me know how you're feeling. Tell me about your good things, not just your bad. Sometimes it's nice to be able to holler about, your wins in life too. Um, Try not to sound like a dink doing it, but it's nice to let that stuff out because if you've failed and you've had such a hard time in your life, um, where you haven't been able to control these emotions and you just want to say, hey man, the other night I was hanging out and instead of flipping out and fighting some guy or whatever, I just let the water go under the bridge and it felt awesome. I want to hear that stuff too. I you know It brings both of us up, right? It shows that, hey, you did it. You nailed that, and that's pretty awesome. So if you can't stand negativity anymore, then get out there and be positive. Go influence some people. I I've been going for walks every morning. I went walking past the community center in town, um, and I saw that they serve breakfast every Monday. So I was like, shoot, and I'm already like 5 weeks into my recovery and walking. And so I decided that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go in there. It's a community center. I'm sure that the average age is somewhere in the ballpark of 70. Um, I'm going to, I'm going to make their day better. I thought in my head, meh, yeah, I'm going to do that. See? And so I do. I go in and I walk in and there's a large table of people. I'm sure, they're townies and they've known each other forever. And a couple other people scattered or whatever inside this place. And I walk in and it's like, record just screeching to a halt, kind of, it felt like. And they just all kind of look at me as I walk past. And I order my breakfast and I go and I grab a coffee and I sit down. And as I'm sitting there drinking my coffee, I wasn't looking at my phone. I didn't even have it with me. I don't take it with me on my walks. I try to keep myself um, I keep myself from being, taken in by the phone vibrating because we all know how those apps work. They just keep trying to drag you in. Right now, I'm kind of annoyed that there's a garbage truck outside of my place. Just so if you hear it, sorry about that. I'll do my best to make it not there. But anyway, get back to it. I sit down and this old woman, she's like, "Hello there," and we started talking back and forth across the room. And I'm like, you know what, whatever. I said, mind if I come sit with you guys? And I sat down with them, and started talking with them. And by the time I left, you know, the idea was like, oh, maybe I'll bring some positivity in their life and make their day better. And by the time I left and I started walking home, they made my life better. My day was better. And now they expect me to be there every Monday morning. So I'm going to do my best to make it there every single Monday morning. And I came this last Monday and I was a little bit late and I got scolded for it. So now I know that 8 o'clock is the time. And so I'll be there at 8 a.m. Sharp, and we'll be hanging out, eating breakfast, and making each other's lives more positive. Um, and if you don't want to go out there and be more positive, don't. But I guarantee, I assure you, the grass is greener over here. Uh, Even if there's people around you that are negative, even if they see the world differently, if you just keep your chest up, um, and bring positivity, I can attest that it works. The grass is greener over here. I promise you. Um, Remember, you can't control the uncontrollable. You can only control how you respond to it, and that's just the way that it is. The bill's just going to keep coming, but if every time you're pissed off the world for it, that's another day you're going to be angry. Um, and in marriage, how's this all worked for me? Within marriage, taking responsibility for my actions, looking in the mirror and not in the past, and finding my weaknesses has made me a stronger partner. She's never tried to make me change, but she led by example in how you're supposed to be, and I followed. And now I feel good about being in a marriage and having a home and having a place to call my own, and now I'm leading the family and leading the family into more positive outcomes in life, whether church, the big move, um, or whatever it may be. Um, having the stress within my marriage. Um, how is the question is, how has this all worked out for me, and focusing on me and looking inward, and having these conversations and journaling, and trying to find a better path, not an easier one. It's not easier. I attest to the fact it is not easier, but it is better. um, and changing how I react, taking a breath, um, going back and asking myself, how can I make today better? Quitting smoking weed and drinking alcohol. I've always, Marijuana was my Achilles heel. It was the one that I always loved the most. And drinking, I quit for quite a while. And now I have a beer from time to time, but I can control that. If I couldn't, I wouldn't. Um, and if you think that you can, and you continue to slip back into to the nether of debauchery, I can't smoke pot anymore. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep smoking it forever, and it's not good for the old brain. It's not good for the noggin. People can attest to it. Oh, it makes me more creative. Does it? Does it make you more creative? Like, you think you're the only person that thought about putting extra peanut butter onto an Uncrustable? Like, get out of here. Um, and it's allowed me, to really be home with my family and focus on my family, rather than being angry at all the things that I can't control, or being angry at all the things I can control that I am not controlling. It, you know, Quitting my bad habits was hard, but once I did, it helped me be able to see my stress, see the stressors in life, and control that, um, and do something about it rather than smooshing it down with drugs or alcohol. Um, and finding a little bit of inner peace, just kind of flows like water after that. It just happens naturally, and you got to keep working towards it, because it's easy to snap back. But if you do it long enough, it just becomes your regular day, your regular habits. Um, and with as far as the business setbacks I was talking about earlier, um, using the substances, I used to like cope with the idea that helped me um, it helped me get through the things, and in reality, um, it helped me, like trying to say that it helped me distress, but it just crushed my productivity, and I just didn't even know it, because you think you're accomplishing things, but you're not really. You're procrastinating, your bills pile up, you're not making the phone calls you need to, and then you're just like, well, It's going to be what it is. And then there's the fatherhood aspect of it, being a dad or being, being a mentor. Your children can see right through it, man. If you're not happy and healthy within, your kids see it. Um, they're smarter than you think they are. And you're going to create these wounds that we've talked about that you have. Do you really want your kids to have to deal with them too? Generational wealth, back to it. Generational wealth is not just money, it's also being able to allow them to be emotionally wealthy and being able to function in a world that's difficult. Um, you might think that you're being strong fighting your emotions, but it slowly breaks you down until there's just nothing left. And you then are stuck with what? A broken shell of a human being, and your whole family knows it. Um, are you really there for them in these moments, or are you just showing up? Right? You might be there, but are you there? Because they can tell. I promise, I could tell with my parents, and they can tell with you. A person always says, a person says that they would die for their family. Think what living for them could do, right? Just take a second. But it's easy to look at it. If I react emotionally to everything, um, I would have lost everything, and I nearly did, guys. Um, I used to just be completely out of it, and that was just the way it was. And giving up isn't quitting. It's sacrificing in your world to build a stronger relationship with God. Um, Letting go of some control, guys. It's the hardest part. But if you give up some control to the Lord, um, the good things happen. And there's times where you feel like giving up is taking everything away from you, but sometimes you need to be stripped of these things that you think make you who you are to become a better version of yourself down the road. And sometimes you don't want to be stripped of those things, but if you give up this control and you let it happen and you give it a little time and you go through that trial, the blessing is on the other end of that tunnel, my friend. And it'll work out for you. But if you fight the natural, if you fight if you fight giving up, um, the harder it snaps back, and it'll knock you down. And that's how you end up at rock bottom, is fighting giving up these things. And sometimes that takes help. Sometimes that takes therapy. Sometimes that takes a church. Sometimes that takes your family. It's not always easily done alone. And trusting in the process of the Lord is not drifting. Trusting in the process is going with the flow rather than fighting the current. You trust this process and you're like, I want it to happen faster. It needs to happen now. But sometimes it takes a little bit of time, and you need to be patient. You need to trust the process of the Lord. He will show you. And when He does, and you wait for it and you allow that to happen that first time, you'll be like, oh man, there it is. And every time that you do it, it's building character by the time you get there, and it's building a stronger version of yourself. A prayer is not a wish. A prayer is asking for strength, and you will be given a trial that will make you stronger. And when you finish that trial and you get to the end and you're stronger, the blessing comes and your life gets better. But it takes time. And I I stopped trying to control every aspect of my life, and I've learned how to handle it instead. I have days where I screw up, but you can't let that crush you. You have to you have to wash it away, move on, and know, hey, I can do this. I'm better than that. I know that I slipped today, but I'm going to do better tomorrow, and have a positive attitude. Write it down. Get in the Bible. Read some verses. Read some messages that matter, and get back on that horse. And so if you're a guy out there that's blaming everything around you, and you're waiting for everything around you to change, but you're not doing anything to make that change happen, um, then I think that you need to really take this stuff seriously. You need to let go of control, and that doesn't mean giving up on life. It's working with the flow of life, and making these minor changes one day at a time to become a better individual and to be able to fight back against the difficulties of life. And if you take ownership in it, and you take ownership in your emotions, and you take ownership in the crap that you've done in your life, and you build an emotional control that you can really be proud of, and you stop waiting and you start doing now. And if that means making a phone call to a therapist or a friend that can help you, if it means going online to betterhelp.com, um, if you're really in a situation where you're feeling like there's nothing left and you want to harm yourself, it's 988, dial it immediately, and get in contact with somebody that really can help you. Um, because helping yourself is the strongest version of you that you could ever be. And if you work your way towards that, you will be a great human being, and you'll be in their lives, your family's lives forever. Um, so I know that you can try to spend your whole life trying to change everything that's around you, or you can become the man that can handle all of the diversity around you. There's only one of these that works. There's only one of these that makes life better. And if this message hits you, and it hits you hard, please subscribe to my page. Please hit that subscribe button, like everything that I got out there. Or if you know somebody that could use a little bit of time here with me, please share this with them. Um, if you want to be the one to make the change, head on over to iamundivided.com and message me, and we can talk one way or the other. This is real. This matters to me, and so do you. And I just want to be with you guys here, and I want you to come with me on my journey. I want you to be a part of this, and I want to stay with this for a real long time. So again, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share this with anybody that needs to hear it. Again, I'm your host, Adam Maxwell. I look forward to next week and every week thereafter. Thanks for sticking with me today. I think we got a good fat hour plus in it. Thanks again. I love you guys all. Peace out. We'll see you later. Justice done. So big.